us and watching with us. Michael, this is the continuity of government we were talking about, excuse me, we were talking about earlier. This seeing our former presidents reminds us who we are.
It really does, and that's something we really have missed for 4 years. You know, some, Brian, might just dismiss this as symbolism, and certainly it is symbolic, but the fact that we have not seen scenes like this for 4 years, I think, has given a lot of people the sense that you've had a flashing red light and an SOS going on and off for our democracy during so much of Donald Trump's presidency.
President and Mrs. Obama.
Can I just remark of how flawless Michelle Obama is? I'm sorry, I don't mean to be excessive. Flawless. Flawless. Absolutely flawless. I mean, her fashion sense is uncanny, brilliant, and she dresses her man up very well as well, because I believe she consults to make sure that he looks appropriate.
Can I tell you that Michelle Obama is so well dressed right now? She's the only person whose mask doesn't stand out as a strange thing that had to be added to her outfit. Like,
it's like he was designed with it.
Exactly. She is integrated. I mean, exactly like I'm a fashion authority. I've been wearing the same thing for 6 years. But she actually...
First of all, Rachel, all black is chic. So you actually are a fashion icon. So let's start with that. All black is chic, and no, she really understands how to dress for the moment and how to look stylish, but also powerful. She really is just masterful at it.
We were talking a moment ago about the former presidents being called upon by current presidents, former presidents being called upon to show up for events like this, for the inaugural, and every living president and former first lady would be there today were it not for the advanced age and the pandemic concerns around the Carters. Obviously, the Supreme Court entering now. To the extent that Trump is excluded from these sorts of events where former presidents show themselves, the question is whether or not Trump's supporters also feel excluded from events like this and from moments of national unity.
I keep thinking about that, Rachel. I mean, that's part of the security challenge we were talking to former Secretary Jay Johnson about earlier. I mean, when you deal with extremism, you are dealing with that very sentiment, people on the outside who become radicalized, and I worry about that too.
It's possible that the presence of Mike Pence here is a key toward trying to address that in the future, to the extent that Mike Pence can speak to or for any of the Trump phenomenon in their base. I don't know that that's possible after what the president did to him, sicking that mob on him 2 weeks ago. But Pence is at least trying. He's at least trying.
We just saw members of the court file past. All three of the Trump appointees were with them. I did not see Justices Breyer, Thomas, or Alito. We'll see if they're in attendance as we listen to the reception for the Obamas.
Speaking of former presidents, I don't know that a former president has ever been as involved in such a way that the former President Obama was this year. His speech at the convention haunts me still, and the palpable pain and the warnings he seemed determined to issue to the country in a very public way made their own kind of post-presidential history.
And Nicole, isn't it kind of remarkable that, bookending Donald Trump and this very bizarre, very hurtful 4 years are two radically historic presidencies, both of which included Joe Biden. That's pretty amazing.
No, it is. And I think to the degree that George W. Bush sought to honor this tradition of a peaceful transfer of power, he put out a stinging rebuke of the insurrection 2 weeks ago, very early, when all of us were on the air together as that came out. And I think he sought to be some connective tissue between that community of former presidents and former vice presidents. But I think it just talks about how, it points to how far the Republican Party has traveled down toward the bottom. And whether they follow Mike Pence or George W. Bush, to a more peaceful, less radicalized place is the open question of the hour.
Let me just speak.
Nicole.
I'll just interject quickly with the Supreme Court members that we saw here. Brian is correct that Justice Thomas, Justice Alito, and Justice Breyer have not been seen with the other justices today. It's possible that they may not be coming. They at least didn't arrive with the others. But it is, I think, we see Justice Roberts there, instantly recognizable. He'll be swearing in President Biden. We see Sonia Sotomayor, who swore in Biden as vice president in his second term. She will swear in Vice President Harris for her term today. But then to see all of the three justices who were appointed by President Trump there today, not there just because all the justices are there. All the justices are not there.
Right.
But to see Trump's three appointees there matters. And is also something that, again, it's not mandatory. They can do whatever they want. To have the three of them show up today is a message.
Yeah. And I was just going to say to Nicole, because you did serve George W. Bush's administration, I mean, if you think about the fact that in many ways President Obama ran as a rebuke, to many of the things about the Bush era, right? And yet, and particularly the war, the Iraq War, and yet, what I still remember about that transition the most is George W. Bush's daughters giving that really sweet tour of the White House to the Obama little girls and understanding what it was going to mean to be kids in this administration, and just the personal outreach between those families, the interaction, the connection that you later saw between George W. Bush and Michelle Obama. They're like buddies and pals. Like the fact that you can be so different ideologically on policy